Mr. Chair, that's a little unbalanced there. Or, 5 to 2. Speak forward. We'll bring in more. Yeah. I'm just pointing that out there, Mr. Chair.
No, I thought you were speaking of the speaker part. I'm sorry. We have great balance here. Yes.
Yeah, but you're front and center. How's that sound for you? Hey, Corey, you're front and center, so. Doesn't that count?
No, because I'm not official. See?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Ward 4 Neighborhood Advisory Board. My name is Jared Souther. I'm the chair. I'd like to welcome you to our April meeting. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could all rise. John's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Great opportunity to hear some great presentations. I'd like to, first of all, welcome Rebecca to her first Neighborhood Advisory Board as a member. So,
Don't scare her away, Mr. Chair.
and as always, we always welcome others. There is open seats and alternative seats available for people to apply. So I'd like to go to A1 for a call to order and roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Jared Souther,
Present.
Victoria Luck, absent at this time. John White,
Present.
Rebecca Flannery, present. Kathleen Egan, present. Benjamin Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum for the Ward 4 Neighborhood Advisory Board meeting.
Thank you very much. So at this time, we're going to item A2 for public comment. And this item's for any public comment or any action item or any general public comment, and is limited to no more than 3 minutes for each commenter. And if you've not yet filled out a form, you can do that after you make a comment. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment tonight?
So, Mr. Chair, prior to that, I need to read the bit.ly. So members of the public may hear, observe, and provide public comment virtually by registering through the following link, which can be found on reno.gov/meetings. And the link is as follows: https://links.gov//47KGB So comments unheard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the NAB's agenda. The NAB may not take action upon any matter not agendized on today's agenda. When you are called for public comment, please state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you say your name and you will be afforded 3 minutes. If you are an attendee on Zoom and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand at this time. The raise hand button is at the bottom of your Zoom bar, and it's this little icon right here if you can see it. I'll give a moment for our Zoom attendees to do so if they would like to. And then anyone in the public at this time, I haven't received any public comment forms, but like Mr. Chair said, they are up front right here. So at any point, if you would like to give public comment, please fill that out. All right, seeing none, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moving forward to item A3, approval of the agenda for April 18th, 2024. Can I have a motion for approval, please?
Chair, I'd like to move to approve the. Are we applicable?
Agenda, yes, please.
Sorry, I'm already on the minutes.
Thank you. And Captain Egan, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right, and then moving forward to agenda A4. And council liaison report, please.
I don't have a whole lot to report. We do have in our packets today, the artwork that has been selected for the banners over on Sky Vista. So that'll be in the presentation later. Other than that, I got this today from RTC about the military road expansion. So there is going to be a meeting April 25th. At the North Valleys Community Center from 5 to 7 p.m. So that's going to be for RTC to talk about the widening of Military Road and take feedback on how to do it. There's going to be some different options with sidewalks and bike lanes. So just wanted to share that. And that is it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And then item A5 for staff liaison report.
Yes, Mr. Chair, one reminder I wanted to give to the Ward 4 NAB is that next Saturday, April 27th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., we have the Ward 4 community cleanup, so we are still looking for volunteers, as well as it's your opportunity to get rid of any waste that you may have, within your home. We are not taking e-waste or house waste at this cleanup, but there are other options, and you can see those on reno.gov. The community cleanup schedule, I think we went over it last time. But yes, please come out and get rid of your extra things. It is at O'Brien Middle School. So first come, first serve. Once those bins are full, we won't be able to take extra items. At 9 a.m. to 12, and you can line up prior to 9. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. With that being said, I'd like to move forward to item B1 for the Reno Police Department update.
Even,
Good evening.
all good. So you guys have that there. I don't know if y'all can read it. Just to go over these very quickly from February to March, almost everything stayed pretty much the same within one or two of one another. The only real difference is we saw stolen vehicles drop in half. However, vehicle burglaries almost doubled. More importantly than the stat is some of the common themes that I saw when I kind of went through all these reports. So for those of you, y'all that haven't heard me speak up here before, whenever I get these reports prior to coming here, I will read every single one of these police reports and see if I can find any common themes and consistencies that's going on with, why you see what you're seeing. It can be a little bit misleading because you've got a destruction of property column that had 15, but some of those are shattered vehicle windows, which then leads into a vehicle burglary. And for whatever reason, those stats don't always cross. So between the destruction of property, theft from a motor vehicle, and vehicle burglary, which is really one and the same, looks like we're at about almost 30 between the three of those. The overwhelming commonality between all those, as we see so often, you should, in a perfect world, be able to leave stuff in your car. However, that's just a target of opportunity. And all of these, it's, hey, my laptop was sitting in the back seat, someone shattered my window, took my laptop, hey, my purse, hey, my whatever. And very often it's high value items that people are leaving in plain view in their vehicle. Again, you should be able to leave that in there, but you're just inviting somebody to have a crime of opportunity to do a smash and grab. There was a cluster of those up in the Enterprise area around some of the apartments close to the campus there. So I'm assuming there's probably one or two actors in that area that went around and did a majority of these smash and grabs. I've already gotten a hold of our community action officers to let them know, hey, there's kind of a hot spot here if you guys might put together some kind of a operation where you can target that complex along with management to see if they could do something about, video and some follow-up on that. The only other kind of spike that I saw that was new from the last time that I was up here was some road rage stuff. I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't get pissed off driving around, but you never know who the other person is, what their proclivities are, how far they are willing to take it, whether or not they're armed, good person, bad person. Sounds like kind of ridiculous advice, but you just gotta let it go. Because a lot of these wound up in guns getting pulled and sometimes shots being fired, and it's just not working. So that would be the only PSA that I have regarding that. The majority, like I said, was the crime of opportunity for the vehicle burglaries. Well, God, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Yes, for Kathleen? No? Okay, well, I would like to just make a comment of the last 30 days, we continue to see an increased amount of people that are making home where they don't belong, meaning that they're putting their campers on property and along ways that are private property. And it's hard because we see tent cities and things like that. There are resources in the community. We feel sorry for them, but it also, it doesn't make us feel like we're at home because a lot of strangers that are using other people's property. What can we do differently in our North Valleys to improve quality of life and to ensure that they're enforced?
So the homelessness issue is, as you can imagine, widespread. Every district is touched by this, and a lot of it is vehicle borne, where they're living in cars and campers and what have you. So there's two different things that should be noted, because you mentioned private property. If it's a private property issue, then that is a trespass. So we can absolutely get involved with that. It's not an issue. Where it gets a little bit more difficult is if it's not a private property issue. There is some case law out of the Ninth Circuit dealing with homelessness, how certain basic needs of life are to be afforded to the homeless, such as their car being their shelter, right? So a lot of the times we have to contact them, we have to warn them if there is any, violations of code or law, et cetera, give them X amount of time to gather their things and move, afford them that opportunity first, and then we have to come back, and maybe take enforcement action there. Now, that goes out the window again, if it's private property, it's a moot point. It's a trespass issue, we can come and take action immediately. What I would advise, those of y'all in your ward to do, if it's an emergency and there's some other kind of crime going on, then by all means call. If it's an emergency, call 911. If it's not, you can call non-emergency. Depending on what's going on in the city at the time, that's gonna dictate our response, but you should get a call at least. If it is just a nuisance issue, and it is, I get it. Are y'all familiar with Reno Direct? I can't push you enough to do that. I know people get frustrated with Reno Direct sometimes because it takes a while to go through the pipeline and they get frustrated because maybe follow-up doesn't come fast enough, but part of what that does is it drives statistics that we as a department can then go, hey, we need help. Look at all this hot spot up in the North Valleys where this is happening. And I can go to a variety of units and say, I need help here. I mentioned the community action officers. They have a lot of homeless liaison. They do a lot of the sweeps and getting them resources and getting them to move out of areas like that. So I would really hammer the Reno Direct. And if there are any specific areas that you guys are having right now, I'd be happy to take those back myself as well.
So one was resolved in the last 2 weeks. That was at Red Rock and Silver Lake, on Silver Lake, that Wedget property there. But then now there's like 8 campers on the property at Stead in Virginia. It's the Wedget property where there's gonna be a new Circle K adjoining the railroad tracks there. So right north of the Amazon facility at Stead and Circle K. Well, I'm sorry, Stead in Virginia. It is private property and there's like 6 to 8 campers on that property for the last 5 days or so.
So in that case, the only thing that we would need is a responsible party for said private property.
Yeah.
They would be required to sign the criminal complaint. We can't do it, right? I don't own the private property. I can't unilaterally take that action. But if we have a responsible party for the property, then we're good to go.
All right, well, I will use my resources to work for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone from the public? Oh, sorry. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Sorry, Kathleen Egan, record. Just something that happened last year. In our neighborhood, we had this time of year, everyone starts bringing out their RVs from storage and we have no HOA. Yay. So we've got a lot of, they're airing them out, they're cleaning it up. And we had someone that came through about 3 of our blocks and they stole our batteries. They cut the wires and there's about 30 of us that they all went along and stole the batteries out. So I was thinking, our neighbors, we kind of complained about it, but yeah, if we had gone on direct, and that would have been a statistic that would have been on there.
Yes.
And then maybe more patrols at certain times. That's the only way we're gonna get more patrols for when we start seeing clusters.
Well, in addition to that, so that's an actual crime.
I never reported it to the police.
Right, and that's what I was gonna say. You can also do just an online report.
Yeah.
And that'll still drive that statistic. That'll show up on something like this, and then when I go over that and go, holy cow, 30 of these just happened.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna get in touch with that district sergeant, say, hey, your guys need to maybe go.
Okay,
handle
so
this
online
area.
report. So go, yes. Okay, so go right to the police department and do the online report.
You can go
None
in
of us
person,
did
you
it.
can do it online.
I know some couple did it, but most of us didn't because of us, what can we do? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. I will spread the word.
Jared, I do.
Please go ahead.
Ben Johnson for the record. So when how all the crimes are broken up into like 8 categories here, does that include misdemeanors and like felonies or like the level of crime? Is it all of it included or is it like I'm saying, like say for crime against person, right? In Ward 4, we had 12 in March. Are those severe crimes or are these misdemeanors? That's what I'm just curious about, if it's broken down that way at all, or is it just all encompassing, if it falls into that category, even if it's murder or, you know, someone spit on somebody, you
Right.
know? So I was just curious if it was broken out that way or not.
No, it is all encompassing the way that I read it. I'm not real tech savvy. I'm doing good to be able to send emails. My understanding though is that it is just lumped into one category. Crimes against persons could be stalking, harassment, assault, battery, murder. It could be a variety of things. These are basically just kind of broken into categories. You have various kinds of property crimes, and then you have the crimes against persons, which is really just and robbery. Technically is a crime against a person, but really you just have the one category for that.
Is there a way that we can, I mean, this would probably obviously create a lot more work to do for these meetings. Is there a way to branch that out to level severity at all from you guys? Like I'm saying, like you just said, right, there's murder and then there's, you know, something a lot smaller, right? A misdemeanor that might even be just a ticket.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm just, because I think that would give us more of an understanding of, you know, like, for example, there's in Ward 2, right? 266% increase for vehicle burglary, right? In what degree of that burglary would that be? Obviously, we're Ward 4, so that's different. I'm just curious if that would be an ability for you guys to kind of break it down to severity, you know?
I know that our crime analysts, excuse me, certainly have that ability. And I can absolutely get with them. I don't think it would be that hard either. We're not talking about huge numbers here.
Yeah,
You know, your crime against persons this month was 12. I don't think it would be that huge of a lift or an ask to break that down by crime and severity. So I can certainly look into that as well.
that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Make a note.
That's interesting.
Thank you very much. Of course, there's the level of confidentiality and things like that, but there's,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. All right, looking down into the audience, Corey, yes, please, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Corey Bond for the record. Just a point of information, for Ms. Egan, there is an app that you can, it's called My RPD, that you can download for, cell phones. And, it's easier if you're not, excuse me, if you're not close to a computer, you can do it just like that. And I have it on my phone, I have used it, and it's wonderful. So I would suggest, just a point of information that is also a resource. Mr. Chair, I would also, point out as a point of information, I'm not hearing anybody say names. And, Lieutenant, we do need that for the record, so just so you know, we need you to say your name, please.
My apologies, Lieutenant Corey Locker.
Thank you.
So, anyway, just points of information, Mr.
Thank you
Chair.
very much. Appreciate it. Anyone else have public comment? Seeing none, thank you so much and keeping us safe. Appreciate you.
Question on public comment, Kelly Orr for the record. Is this for anything or just to ask questions for the police officer?
Just everyone, we introduce, yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
It's just for the item. You'll have general public comment at the end.
Thank you very
You're
much for the clarification.
So all good now?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, item B2, we have an opportunity for an update on the North Valley's Roundabout Public Art Projects. Presentation by the City of Reno Arts and Culture staff.
Good evening. It's good to be back here. I'm Megan Berner, the Arts and Culture Manager for the City of Reno. And, gosh, I can't remember when we were here first, but we were introducing this project to you, the Public Art Project North Valley Sky Vista Roundabout.
About 2 months. Excuse me, Corey Bond, 2 months.
Okay, thank you. This was before we put out our call for artists in the form of an RFQ. That has happened. And our Public Art Committee has reviewed all of those applications that we received for that. We received 60 something. It was 60 or 80. I'm sorry, I don't have that number. Applications from artists, and this was just an RFQ, so we're not at the proposal stage yet. And we've narrowed it down to 3 finalists based on the qualifications that we asked for. So things like past experience with projects of this scale to know that they could create, a sculpture for a public space like this. Past work that was relevant in terms of the same type of site so that, you know, we've seen works that have been created in places like roundabouts and public spaces, and then, we look at other qualifications, materials that they use, styles, that aesthetics that might fit the area, but we haven't decided any artwork yet. And so now we're at the stage where we really would like community involvement and people to come out and weigh in and help us with the artist selection process. And then beyond that, it will be, help with actually giving ideas for content and themes for the artwork, help shaping that artwork. So we have 3 finalists coming to our Arts and Culture Commission meeting on Monday, April 22nd. That meeting is at 5:00 p.m. At McKinley Arts and Culture Center, but it is also online. So I have actually some of those agendas in my hand with that Zoom link for registration, but you can also go to reno.gov and find it on the meetings page. So you can sign up or you can come in person. And the artist will just be presenting at that meeting. There will be no decisions made. And so those presentations will then be posted online along with a survey. We will do a community survey that will go out before anybody is selected. So we would love your input on that. We will try to spread the word as wide as we can throughout the community here to get people to participate in that and help select that artist. And then once that artist is selected, which we're hoping to do in May, we will start having community engagement sessions. The artists will be here in person to facilitate conversations and workshops and things like that to get input from the community. And there will be probably a series of those. Also opportunities for online input as we do that. So we can get as much participation as possible.
Awesome.
Any questions on the process or timeline? I can leave these agendas if you'd like. These are for the Arts Commission, if you want that information.
And then you have a question also, Kathleen?
I just, Kathleen Egan for the record, I want to make sure I got that. Thank you for having these Zooms. Thank you. And I just wanted to thank you again that, I mean, getting that grant, it takes an effort, and your department for, you know, the efforts to get the grants for our community to have it. It's very much appreciated.
We're very excited too, and glad that, you know, that it will be well received, and it looks like you have some cool artwork coming for the banners too, so it's going to be a really nice addition.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other comments? Turning to the public, anyone have a comment for this agenda item?
I do.
All right, go ahead.
Kelly Orr for the record. I'm so excited about the artwork. I'm very excited here. My one question though, is the city or is the artist, how's the work within the grant being secured if there was property damage, something like that were to happen to this beautiful piece of art? What is the security behind it, or that?
Yeah, so we do have maintenance funds, and our department maintains all of the artwork that we have in the city, and so, you know, artwork in roundabouts can sometimes be vulnerable to, you know, things like cars. And we have not had a lot of issues with that, knock on wood, but we do have funds set aside for that very purpose. We will maintain and take care of it.
Thank you. All right, very good. Awesome. Moving forward to item B3. Thank you so much. City of Reno Language Access Plan and Community Engagement Process. And a presentation by the City of Reno Equity and Community Relations staff.
Hi, good afternoon. I'll stay on this side. My name is Noemi. I'm with the community relations team with the city manager's office, and I'm here to just provide an overview of the language access plan, which is part of an assembly bill from the legislative session from last year. So we go to the next slide. So we are, currently the city of Reno is working on this access plan. As mentioned, it came from AB 266, which mandates a plan to be in place for the city when it comes to language access. For those that speak a different language, how do they access services? And it is really a formalized document. There is a community engagement piece to it and how it's going to reach. And when we think of language access, it's more than just languages. We also think about ASL, when it comes to providing any sort of services, when it comes to you come to City Hall or like NAB meetings, we want to make sure that we have that access for everyone. And so just to give an overview, just the framework itself. So at the end, we are required to submit the plan to the governor's office, the Office of New Americans, by August 1st. And it will be a document that will be front facing that you'll be able to see. That document will contain a needs assessment, which will give us analytics and data for language services. We currently do have a survey online, which is in English, Spanish, Tagalog, and Mandarin, which is the top 4 languages spoken here in the state of Nevada. And so those are open now and will remain open because that's a living document, which we have to update every 2 years. So any feedback will be greatly appreciated. We will also, that document will have existing services that we already have. The city of Reno has already invested different services within the city when it comes to language access, such as interactive devices. So we just have, for example, the Ubi Duo 3 devices. Not sure if any of you know what those are, but for those that are deaf or hard of hearing, it's a device that you can use and it's front facing and you're able to type and still have that customer service interaction. And so that's also a form of language access, and also interpreters and so forth. So we will provide what we already have in place. And then when it comes to language access procedures, we oftentimes, I'm not sure if it happened in this NAB or not, if someone has come trying to do public comment in different language or sign language. And so we are going to be outlining what that looks like and how we can be inclusive for all. And that goes with our training our employees, which is also important as new technology comes out, new resources. We want to make sure that anyone that interacts with us, our employees are trained when it comes to these devices or services that we have in place. With that, we also are tracking any funding allocation when it comes to services. We want to make sure that we have those fundings. We did not, through this mandate, we don't have any funding that was given to any cities or municipalities. However, we are working to ensure to see what it takes and how much it's going to cost and take it back to the governor's office. And then any final recommendations. And as mentioned, this will be submitted to the governor's office this August. And so these are ways that we can engage. So we're here at the NAB currently just seeking any input and giving you the information that's coming down the pipeline. As mentioned, we do have the survey. It's in 4 different languages, which is from the top 4 in the state. And then we are also doing a joint listening session with the county. So if you go to Sparks, if you go to Washoe County or Reno, every municipality will have a language access plan. So we're working together to make sure that we're all in the same page. No matter where you go, it's going to be very similar services. So on this day, May 22nd, we will actually have hard copies of the language access plan, which is a draft before we take it to council for adoption and before we submit to the governor's office for anyone to read, to look at and provide any feedback or any comments or questions that you'd like to provide. So it's at 5:30, 7 o'clock at the Sierra View Library, which is inside the Reno Town Hall. So I really encourage you all to attend if you're able to. And then lastly, we have all the information. We have a dedicated page to language access, so you're always welcome to visit reno.gov. Under community, you can find different topics, but we have a language access. You can find all of the updates, the bill if you're interested in reading the bill, requirements for us, and the surveys, and any meetings that are coming up with language access. And that is all I have. So I'll take any questions if there are any.
Oh, thank you. Anyone from the board with a question?
No.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I think Ms. Hebert had a question. No, okay.
Kathleen Egan for the record, and you are.
Ha.
All right, thank you very much. So that being said, we're going to move into section C and C1 for silver dollar storage. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brooke Oswald. Some of you that know me from before, I used to work for the city of Reno. I have left. I have working for a group called the Arret Group now, doing private consulting. And I'm actually here on behalf of John Kompotic this evening. He was not able to make it, so he asked me to step in. So I will run through this project. So this request is for a conditional use permit to establish a mini warehouse use and to establish non-residential use to residentially zoned property. So as we can see, the site is here with the residential property being here. We have some storage off the other, whoops.
Sorry.
Oh, not me. We're off Silver Dollar Lane. Just down from, let's see, Brown Bear, and as that comes down through. It's approximately a 4-acre site. Has a master plan of suburban mixed use and that zoning of general commercial. Next slide, please. So coming in, this is showing your zoning, those surrounded uses. That SF11 signifies single family, 11 units per acre. Single family, 8 units per acre. Mixed use suburban on the other side there, where we're seeing that attached and higher density housing. And as I mentioned before, the other part of that GS is a outdoor storage at this point. Next slide, please. This kind of, that overlay of that, you can see our detached housing, their large drainage way just to the other side, the compatibility of these, you know, the proposed use and the adjacent use. And we're looking at that residential adjacency for these homes along this side here. Next slide, please. So this is where we're looking at that residential adjacency. As you can see, there is a significant landscape proposed along that edge to buffer that. Additionally, these buildings all are the outer face outward, so they actually become a wall. And the next slide will show that a little bit better. The landscaping up front, you have a full turnaround egress entrance, additional parking up front before the gate. As you come in, the RV parking is actually in the middle of the building, so it won't be visible except through these access points. So it basically screens your indoor RV parking, and then all your access to your mini storage will be on the interior. Next slide. So this is looking from the street. You can see your access point here, having some articulation, 1-story units, so fairly low, comparable to sort of the other development or heights that we're seeing in that area. Next slide. And this is what you'd anticipate seeing with minus the landscaping and some of the grade changes on that side. As you can see, there's no access points or anything from there. It becomes basically all the activity is on the interior of the site. Next slide, please. So this is sort of looking at the residential adjacency in the site itself. Additionally, the mini storage unit and outdoor storage that you have to the north of, or to the east of the site. And just some additional photos showing sort of the context and what's out there now. So the project is 400 mini storage units and 50 RV parking spots. As I stated before, it's all 1-story, so they're not higher than 18 feet. We're providing those 3 parking spaces outside. There is an office with those office hours being from 8 to 5 p.m. And then the gate hours are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So you won't be able to access after 9 p.m. or before 6 p.m. The gates is restricted to a key access use only to those people who are tenants within the structure. Although there'll be an office during the day, there will not be an overnight or 24-hour operations manager on site. Next slide. With that, just go through the owner and developers. Nevada Storage Partners, Grant Kennedy, K2 Engineering is doing the civil engineering on the project. John Kompotic, who is the planner and is working through this with KSL Planning. And then I'm Brooke Oswald with the Arret Group and available to answer questions.
Thank you very much. I'd like to actually start myself with a question, Jared Souther, for the record. At the intersection of Sky Vista and Trading Post, there's currently not lights planned there. And with the traffic study in the community as it continues to grow, do you know if there's plans for, light controls at that intersection?
You know, I don't know the long range plans for that. This use, it'll, depending on what you have is how many, cars happen at a peak hour use.
Mhm.
And that'll trigger different levels of study.
Mhm.
What we see with mini storage is they're relatively low
Mhm.
volume, peak hours because of the long hours, people not going to them for months at a time.
Mhm.
And so the traffic generated, this is fairly low. To speak to the larger, I do not know, but Megan may have some understanding through RTC or anything else of any of the other.
So at that same intersection, I think it's across the street from this property is where the new elementary school is going to be built.
Correct.
Okay. So, and as I looked at the map for that site, is it just doubling in or is there going to be a center lane egress into that property?
Let's go back so we can just kind of look at that really quick.
Because, again, you have larger RVs and vehicles interfacing with the elementary school zone and,
So as you can see, they've lined up this intersection here. We'd anticipate, obviously, both of these would have some sort of control, which would be most likely a stop sign. The other access coming out here, not lined up with the current access or anything there, but that, as far as the current design, yes, there would be RVs, larger access, but they will be fairly limited to when they're going in and out. It's not like an industrial use or something where we'd anticipate seeing large truck traffic. This is really a low traffic generating use.
Kathleen,
Kathleen Deegan, and thank you, Jared. You asked one of my questions. Thank you so much. The only thing that I was hoping to see with you here in person that was in the presentation is for the neighbors. I think that their first concern with their bedroom windows, their bedrooms are all lined on that side. Where is the plans for lights and height of the lights?
Certainly, and there's not, currently don't have a lighting plan in the photometrics. But we'd anticipate the lighting would be towards the center of the site. At night, it would really probably be dim to provide just enough for safety and to make sure that it's not impacting. The city of Reno does have additional codes that limit that ability to spill over. And so staff will be checking that too. So they'll be checking if there is anything out on this outer edge or anything that is provision of safety. It'll have to meet certain requirements to ensure that it's not impacting those neighbors.
Okay, thank you.
Benjamin, please.
Ben Johnson for record. So I have actually a few questions. So, you're not building a wall or fence around the border at all, correct? Or are you just using the building itself as like its border?
The building is acting as the border.
Okay, well, and then you have the,
And
trees
they
and
may
everything around.
be the opportunity to kind of secure the back area, right, with a fence or something like that.
Okay, the next thing is, so we're imagining that the buildings won't be more than about 18 feet tall, right? And then are you expecting to raise the ground up? I guess it all boils down to, if that was my house off to the right there that we're seeing, and I don't know how tall it is to head height on the second floor to look out. I don't know what that height is. I'm just curious if 18 feet is from level with the house and the storage unit on the same level, or if it's 3 feet up to, you know, water erosion, everything like that, plus an additional 18 feet. I'm just curious how tall that would be. If that would be just straight to a wall, or can I actually see over it, quite easily? And, you know, obviously you're gonna have a building there that wasn't there before, but at least you can see past it.
Yeah. And so, you know, right now you can see probably what I anticipate is a privacy fence. That's a 6-foot fence along there. So right now they have a fence, you know, approximately this high out of the back. There will be some grading along that site, like I said, but to the level of raising above or below. City of Reno has some standards that make sure that you can't go residential and then go 10 feet high and then do your building. And initially, you're starting to see, you know, that additional landscape coming in here. And although they're showing some land, what I anticipate being there is probably more evergreens and stuff like that. That will provide additional buffering along that building edge. And then there are no penetrations, you know, or privacy is sort of preserved in just the use itself.
Cool, thank you very much.
All right, one follow-up question I had is that, speaking of the A1 storage, I've seen that listed several times over the last couple of years. Do you have any updates on that as far as that property or what they're doing there?
I do not have any information.
thank
of
you.
that at this time.
All right, anyone else from the board? Seeing none, public comment, and I'm sorry, please. Thank you.
Just real quick, I'm also concerned about the lighting, so at what phase will the lighting like be planned out and will that be presented?
Sure.
I mean,
That would-
before
we-
completion?
Anticipate, sometimes staff will ask for a lighting plan if there's a big major concern. I think we're not seeing a light plan at this point because of the configuration of the building, right? Where they're not loading any light glare or anything that would be is kind of protected from the building. But that is something that staff, city staff can, ask for. We'd anticipate that at the building permit stage, that we'd see a lighting or that coming in. And then those codes of cutoff, light spill and all that would come into place and be reviewed at that time.
Okay, so
Yep.
will there be a follow-up presentation once everything is like decided?
No, with the conditional, so we will see at the planning commission. Obviously, these comments, go to city staff. So city staff, if they wanted a little bit more information about an overall lighting or to ensure that, that's something that could be provided through that planning commission
Okay.
moment, yeah.
Go ahead, Rebecca. Thank you.
Becky Flannery for the record, how close are these units gonna actually be to those people's homes?
So I would gather this is probably a 20-foot drive here.
Mhm.
So you've got a 20-foot backyard plus a 20, so I would guess anywhere from 30 to 50 feet is what I gather, kind of just how that lays out. As you're seeing you can see that the building kind of steps back as the property comes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. And then, sir, go ahead and thank
Yes, sir.
Gary Overholt, Ward 4, for the record. On your additional landscaping, you said there'd be an 8-foot privacy fence along with the wood fence that is existing along that row of residential housing?
No, what we'd anticipate is the existing fence, 6 foot, would remain in place. And then the building becoming that 8 to 10 foot probably, would be a wall, but not it would be a building wall. not
Okay,
a
and then
wall.
with my concern with the lighting, whatever transpires, your additional landscaping. From the looks of that, we're talking about spaces of about 10 feet, and you mentioned evergreens. Okay, I'm dealing with the same thing at my house. Half those evergreens are dead in the first year. Who is responsible for keeping it maintained so it doesn't turn into a weed patch along that fence? And 10-foot spacings on evergreen will not do anything for privacy. It is ridiculous. Not to mention, once they throw them in the ground and they walk away, nobody cares.
So they are responsible, once that plan goes in and what they're responsible to put in there. So the planning staff, if they felt the buffering wasn't appropriate or whatever, they could add more, they could put those closer, working with the landscape architect to do that. It is that property owner's responsibility in all these cases. So if there are weeds, or if they're neglectful of their thing, you have dead trees, there is that Reno Direct, right? Once again, we've talked about that. Although, that's a process to go through. You can call Reno Direct and say, hey, they're responsible for having these trees, maintaining them, and they're dead. And they'll send out an enforcement, and then what they'll do is they'll pull up the plan and go, yep, your trees are dead, you need to replace them.
Okay, well, and the fact that they're so far spaced apart, I see if that rendering is correct, those trees are about on each property line.
Yeah.
So, it's not gonna do anything for people's privacy whatsoever.
I think you're correct in that, and I'm a landscape architect. A lot of times these are conceptual. And I think, once again, city staff could take that into concern and look at what would be appropriate to provide buffering along that wall. So those comments tonight obviously will go to staff and they can make that adjustment through a condition requiring a certain landscape along that.
Councilman Ebert, for the record, I would just like to add to that, that I agree. That I agree that if we could use something besides evergreen, something that's, maybe a little thicker,
Sure, I mean, I think there are the alternatives, the secure streets or other things, and obviously, I think. This is a conceptual plan, as they move forward to actual plans, they'll
Yeah.
have to have a landscape architect that will determine
Yeah.
that. And then if there is condition for a certain amount of buffering, he'll have to meet that standard.
All right, just letting you know,
He or
if
she
you want
will
to
have
share
to
that
meet
with
standard.
your
Yeah,
developer.
certainly.
One last comment, that I literally drive by this multiple times every day. Thank you for putting something in there that the property is horrible shape and the views, it's gonna be a much better view to have that than what they're currently looking at. Because we're hoping, please, baby Jesus, someone do something with A1 storage. But at least your plan there is not more houses, more traffic with the school going in. I just want to really, as for someone who lives right here in that neighborhood, thank you for this project.
Yeah, as I said, these are usually low impact uses that you see. The GC does allow for housing, but that is multifamily. So you'd see, if that was coming in, you'd see a much more dense residential product coming in with the current zone.
I literally was waiting for apartments to be built there.
And then I think you also, as you see these properties that haven't been maintained, as we talked earlier, the homelessness and some of those things, these are oftentimes the sites that struggle with some of those other issues. So, coming in with a good use, these can often,
It's a great infill parcel right there.
and they'll often help incentivize or help to motivate adjacent properties of the value that they get out of this property, that maybe that helps to other properties redevelop also.
Thank you.
Yep.
Right. Any other comment from the public? Seeing none, thank you so much for your presentation. All
Thank you.
Good night.
right, and then we have an opportunity now for C2 for the NV Energy Utility Corridor. Thank you so much. You can introduce yourself.
For the record, my name is Dave Snellgrove. I'm the planning manager for CFA Bowman Consulting Group here in Reno, and in the audience with me tonight, I've got Matt Gendrich, who is the I wrote it down for the title, Director of Land Operations with NV Energy. And on the screen, we've got Laura Clifford, and we've also got one of the other members from the engineering team at NV Energy. And here to answer any questions that you might have about the project tonight. You can go to the next slide, please. So what we're requesting is for a conditional use permit for the construction of 120 kV power line that will connect between the California substation, which is down here in Verdi, up to the Border Town substation, which is near Cold Spring. So this falls into the Ward 4 area up in this area. I've got some other maps that'll highlight that a little bit more. The project is considered to be a project of regional significance because it is a transmission power line. And it will also be establishing a new regional utility corridor in part from about here down to here. I've got some other maps that'll show where there's existing regional utility corridors as we go through this. This project has been in the process for a long time. It's gone through the U.S. Forest Service through review, which was a very lengthy process. The application, I believe, was originally submitted in 2011. They came out in 2019 with it. We're getting to the point, you still have to go through the local jurisdictional review and requirements. So that's what we're doing now. We've got an application going through the city of Reno that covers the Ward 5 area and the Ward 4 area. We also have a corresponding applications going through Washoe County, covering the parts of the line that are going through the county, the unincorporated county. Next slide, please. So this is very highly schematic. I've got another map that'll kind of show it a little bit more, but generally speaking, the current transmission power routes run in a big angle between Border Town and the California substation. What this will do is provide an alternate route, and this will increase the reliability of power service in West Reno. And it will also, this is also a mandatory requirement that NV Energy has to meet. This is a requirement from the National or North American Electric Reliability Corporation, known as NERC.
It requires NV Energy to provide reliable service in the instance of line failure. Our transmission engineers know better. I've been on a learning curve with a lot of this. So if there's any questions on that, they can probably help fill you in better, the folks from NV Energy. But in short, if one of the line fails in the area, it can cause lines to trip, other lines to trip as well, leaving the entire region without power. So this line is proposed to be a mitigation measure to try and avoid such occurrences. It's not that you'll be able to avoid power outages all the time, but try and minimize that. Now, if something were to happen in this area, if there were a fire or something in the line, they had to shut it down for precautionary measures. This gives an alternate route in the simplest possible terms. Same thing with this corridor here where the transmission is running. It gives an alternate route for the energy to go. Next slide, please. So this map shows we've got the orange colors and we've got the green colors on here. The green colors are the portions of the line that run through the city of Reno. The Ward 5 area. We've got a bigger property here just to the west side of Somerset. And then we go in and out of city of Reno, city Sphere, and also into Washoe County down in the Birdi area. It's kind of a mix. As you come up to the north, once you get into the Ward 4 area of the city of Reno, cross on this area here where the line takes a little jog, that is the Stonegate property. And the alignment of that was worked out with the Stonegate property owners. And then the line will actually join in with the Alturas power line route. I mentioned earlier that portions of this line follow existing regional utility corridors. The section right down here to where this angle kick is, and then also the section where this strong angle is, this 90-degree, that's an existing power corridor. So the new section of line, the new regional power corridor would run from this point to the north up to where it joins in with the Alturas power line. All the orange areas are parts, and they're the parcels that we're going over that are in unincorporated county. There's obviously more unincorporated county and more city of Reno out there, but we just highlighted the properties that were affected. Next slide, please. So in summary, the line is a total of 12 miles in length. 10.9 miles of that is constructed in Nevada. There are short stretches of this as you go to the California and to the Bordentown substations that do lie in California. So that's where that 1.1 miles goes. Within that city of Reno and Washoe County mix, you got 4.1 miles in the city of Reno. That's part down in Birdi and part up in the North Valleys area. And then you got 6.8 miles of the line in unincorporated county. This does lie in both wards 4 and 5. We were hoping to be on the April 9th agenda at Ward 5 last week, but they ended up not having a quorum. I talked to Abigail about that. I was surprised that an agenda hadn't been produced, and I found out there wasn't a quorum, so we couldn't have meetings. So our plan is to be at their meeting on May 14th. So we'll be there next month with Ward 5, giving a similar presentation, but I'm going to focus a little bit more on the Birdi area when I'm there. This will provide redundancy and stability between Bordertown Substation, Cold Springs, and the California substation, providing mandated reliability of the transmission capacity on the west side of Reno. Access into the site from a construction standpoint. Once this is built, it doesn't need much visitation. They do have to do inspections, but they're infrequent. During construction, they do have access routes, and they'll primarily be using existing U.S. Forest Service roads as is. However, there are some areas that they are going to have to do some widening to get the equipment or get the crews in there. So in those areas where they have to do widening, part of the stipulations that came out from the U.S. Forest Service approval was that they have to go back in and restore those areas back to what they were before. They can't just widen a road out and then leave a much wider road. We've heard comments and concerns about people getting a new racetrack or, a different nice road. They have to bring them back to kind of the rural forest type area road that existed prior to the construction. Next slide, please. So this is a copy over here on this side. These are blow-ups of these red areas here, but this is from the Truckee Meadows Regional Plan, and this is the regional utility corridors and sites. So you do have a regional utility corridor running down here. That is the Alturas power line. You have a regional utility corridor that comes through Northwest Reno, north of Mogul, and then in through Verdi out to the California substation. Both of those areas are generally shown in these insets over on the side. So this is the north part. This one's the most germane to your area in Ward 4. This orange line coming in or brown line coming in, that's the Alturas line. So we'll end up marrying up with the Alturas power line alignment and following that corridor. Same thing down in Verdi, as I mentioned previously. Come in where that hard 90-degree angle happens, and then we follow an existing regional utility corridor. So this blue area here is about the stretch that would be the new regional utility corridor that is proposed as part of this. Next slide, please. So mentioning the U.S. Forest Service reviewed the project. If you'd like to see, there is a fairly lengthy environmental impact statement that you can get to. And I've got an easy way to get that rather than typing in a lot of this on one of the latter pages. This is stated out of the ROD is called the Record of Decision. The final Record of Decision identified and quoted. It provides the needed benefit of reliable electric transmission capacity to the west side of Reno, consistent with the reliability standards that NV Energy is mandated to achieve. Next slide, please. In the U.S. Forest Service review of this, they looked at a lot of different components, many more than are often looked at city or county level. They went through land use and private property, public health and safety, visual resources, vegetation resources, special status plants, wildlife habitat, and cultural resources is the general broad brush topics that they did cover. Then their rationale for the decision providing backup power supply to serve West Reno. This route, and there were 4 possible routes. And then one of the options that they looked at was do nothing. That's always included within federal type review like this is a do nothing. Also, don't put a new line in. So this minimized crossing of Forest Service land while utilizing regional and federally designated utility corridors, minimize routing across private land. It avoids properties listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It avoids critical habitat and threatened and endangered species areas, maximizes the crossing of land previously disturbed by wildfire, and minimizes crossing of mature forested areas, I believe is what's covered underneath there. In looking at the different routes that they have, and you can see this within the environmental impact statement, there are different routes that went through some higher treed areas. Others came down and basically followed the same route that the Alturas line did for most of the length, that if you had something happen in that area, you lose both lines, not just one line. So this redundancy and different path is very helpful in what NV Energy is required to accomplish. Next slide. This will get you to both the environmental impact statement and record of decision easiest. If you type in, you're interested, final record of decision, border town to California, 120 kV transmission line project. I'm gonna bet if you typed in part of that, you'd probably get to it. Or you can type in this one that is kind of meaningless. So this is what the U.S. Forest Service website looks like and how you end up getting there, and they have some pull down information that you can link to the documents. Next slide, please. So we're in process now, as I mentioned before, it's been going on for quite a while through the federal government level. We're into the local jurisdictional level review right now. We have a Washoe County process and a City of Reno process. We're anticipating going to the Washoe County Planning Commission on the 7th. Yeah, I don't know how I did that.
You did.
And then the Washoe County Commission would be after that. They'll need to make a decision on it as well. And then the City of Reno process, we're here tonight at Ward 4, we'll be at Ward 5 on May 14th. Plan is Nathan Gilbert will be back in office on Monday. He's working on this from the staff side. We've been talking about going to May 15th for the planning commission hearing. We would like there to be more time between a neighborhood advisory board meeting and planning commission. However, they didn't have their meeting in April, so there wasn't a whole lot we could do. That then we'd have to go to the Reno City Council. Once both those decisions are made, and our hope is that the Reno City Council and the Washoe County Board of Commissioners will be supportive of this from a project of regional significance standpoint and from a new regional utility corridor standpoint. These two applications from the two jurisdictions will come together and have to go through the regional planning hearings, the Regional Planning Commission and Regional Governing Board. So it's a fairly lengthy process that we're involved in. We're arguably at the start of it, but we're also a very long way into it, having gone through the federal level. Next slide, please. Questions?
All right, anyone from the board with a question? Benjamin, please.
Ben Johnson for the record. So I didn't catch it in your presentation or not. Is this, are the power lines going to be above ground or below ground?
It will be above ground.
Above ground. And then, I'm just thinking where the map is. So that goes kind of, wow. The west side of Peavine pretty significantly, right? So, but we do get wildfires through that area quite significantly. Obviously it's brush fire more than anything than it is trees. So I'm just curious if that'll, obviously you went to the Forest Service, right? So they looked at that. I'm just, I guess, a little concerned about adding power lines out there that are very far away from everything, that if whatever instance that would occur for that power line to go down, that could cause another fire.
So one of the routes more drastically in terms of the four that was analyzed by the U.S. Forest Service went over on the California side and up over kind of to the west side, a little bit of Dog Valley and up through the trees. That one has a little bit more challenge and concern relative to the vegetation. If you look at the aerial map of the route that this follows, there is a treed area kind of in the middle length of it, but most of it's lower level vegetation. Also, too, the NV Energy has designed this, I think, through their process with the U.S. Forest Service and what they went through. I think all of them are metal poles, Corey. Yes, I got a response. They will all be metal poles. There will be some H-frame poles, but in your area, I believe every one of them's either a single pole. Sometimes when they get to a strong angle point, they'll have a 3-pole structure with 3 separate poles. Okay. But they are all metal poles, and two, the transmission lines tend to be a lot higher too. So interference or problems relative to vegetation, even with taller trees, is a little bit less likely. And if you keep in mind too, that these are transmission level, if something happens with these lines, you knock out a good part of the city. That these have high priority maintenance. And so these corridors will be well maintained. The middle pole structures don't have the degradation potential that the wood structures do. Those do take a long time, but they do degrade.
Got it. And then, by the way, behind you is the cord that they.
I gotta stop moving back and forth.
Yeah, in addition to that, right, so obviously like you just said, the middle poles, that means puts the lines a lot higher in the air. Where I was going there, I just got really concerned about the cord though.
Power related.
Oh, I totally lost my question. No, it's okay.
We'll come back to it if we have time there.
Yeah.
Anyone else on the board with a question or a comment? Yes, Rebecca.
Becky Flannery, for the record. Does this actually go through Dog Valley? Is this gonna affect any of the, no, it's totally off? Okay. All right, perfect, thank you.
John White, there is a packet that has appearance of the poles. Are these gonna be a particular color?
They're darker. Are they the same color as the Alturas lines? That's kind of a U.S. Forest Service blends in with the. If you can go down a couple slides, I started here, and I think it's the next slide is the details of what they look like. We have 6 different structure types that'll be up here in the Ward 4 area. This is the one that has the three poles that are strong. I think there's only one of these in this area, but every other one of them is a single pole with the transmission wires on it. Also, no.
I did remember my question if I could, Ben Johnson record. With the power lines, do you have to have like separation of, so it's just dirt like 10 feet away from like the width of where the power lines end or start? Or could you have a tree or a sagebrush or anything directly under the power lines? Or does it have to be an egress of like 10 feet off to the side?
There are requirements and safety limitations and it'll vary. On a hotter day, a power line will sag a little bit more, so they take that all into account when they're looking at vegetation, because we're dealing with natural area and the trees are gonna grow where the trees are gonna grow. You know, they may have to do some clearing of some areas, but this route, it doesn't follow Alturas or the other lines, basically not creating the redundancies necessary. And then compared to the route that was going through on the California side with a lot of trees, it really has a minimal amount of trees. And I understand very fully the fire concern relative to power lines. We have well documented, well news story. We get that. And so does NV Energy. And they have requirements of separation distance that has to occur.
Well, not just the fire, sorry, Ben Johnson, continue for the record. Everyone knows, like, if you're going towards California and right as you're going towards Verdi, you can actually look up the mountain. And there's just a straight line cut right through the trees, right? Where there's obviously a power line there through pines and stuff. So I'm just curious if you'd have a similar looking effect when we look at the mountain.
Yeah, because of where we're coming out of, and the place that you would have the greatest view of it would be in the Verdi area, where it takes that strong anchor point and starts to go up the hill. That doesn't have it. They're gonna have disturbance around where the poles are put. And then beyond that, they're not gonna have any disturbance. It spans for hundreds of feet, and then there'll be another pole. So you're not gonna have a situation where the whole thing gets cleared. Now, if this were undergrounded, yeah, you'd have it like that, and you'd have it there for years.
Yeah.
But with the power poles, and I understand the concern about that some people will have it looking at power poles. I'm not a huge fan either. I used to work at NV Energy. I'm not a gigantic fan. I'm not a gigantic fan of looking at cell towers either, but I love what they provide. So it is a significant benefit to have this until we come up with some different technologies and how to get electric and how to get our cell phone working without a cell phone tower. This is what we have to work with.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Peggy Flannery for the record again, sorry. How is this line going to work in conjunction with the other lines as far as it's all running together, or is it more of like a backup source if the power goes out, or is it more of like for this side of Reno power? Does that make sense?
That one's way outside my pay grade.
Does that make sense?
Corey or Laura is on, you can probably answer that much better than I can.
I'm like, I don't even know if that makes sense, sorry, apologies.
That's an electrical engineer's doc there. Laura, you wanna talk on that? Thank you. There you go. Can you hear us? Is the sound up? We might have the sound down here.
Okay.
Try talking.
Sorry.
Oh, bummer.
We can get an answer back. And,
Corey, do you have?
Yeah, I can take that one. Corey Day for the record. They'll all run concurrently and they provide reliability between themselves.
Okay,
So
thank you.
like Dave addressed earlier, if one goes out, you have that second path.
Perfect.
I actually knew that answer. I just
You
didn't
did,
know.
you totally did.
all right, very good. And I'm Jared Souther. I do want to ask a couple questions. In this right away, I know it's mostly national forest, but going through county Ward 4, Ward 5, is there any eminent domain going through people's property that we have to acquire in order to have this corridor?
Right now, they've got all of their easements in place. One of the big ones is going through the US Forest Service. You have to go through a fairly lengthy permit process. And they also have to analyze it for the different routes and see which one's the best. So NV Energy has gone through that process. They've got one landowner that they're continuing to work with, but he signed an owner affidavit on this project. So he's actually given his okay for this to go forward, but all the easements are in place for the line. That other one, they're just working on and finishing up. So there's no eminent domain, correct?
No.
Yep, I got a no from Matt Gendrich. There's no eminent domain in association with this.
In the last year, we had a presentation by NV Energy. They're planning a North Valley substation along North Virginia between Stead and Red Rock on the west side of the 395. And I know this corridor goes north of it, but will that line also then tie down to that substation?
Not directly,
For the record, your name?
Matt Gendrich, NV Energy. Yeah, it's not a related project. It does provide, 120 kV service to that area. But they're not connected.
And then, last, as we have the opportunity to be here with NV Energy, on the 395 corridor, we're starting to see the widening project take place. We have some gigantic poles. They sometimes are very close to 395. Is there any adjustments that are going to be needed as they do the widening of the 395 out to Cold Springs in the future?
Matt Gendrich for the record, HDR, as I think the NDOT's consultant for that project, they have reached out to us, but I don't think there's any movement of those lines proposed.
They're looking to widen Virginia Street itself also from Golden Valley out to Red Rock at some point. And those poles on the west side of the 395 or the south side, I guess is a better way to say it. Again, they sometimes get very close there. So I was just trying to understand.
Nobody's contacted us about that either.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the board? Anyone? Oh, yes, please.
I do have a question, Megan Ebert for the record. You mentioned that this plan, like kind of coordinated with Stonegate when you planned the route. There's been some changes that are going on there. Have you?
Yeah, and I just
talked to
recently heard that there's a zone change application or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I haven't seen that yet, that I just heard about maybe a week or two ago. That there are changes going on there. The line used to go up, if you can go back to one of the, let's see if I've got one that's parcel based, would be good. And you know what, let's go down the aerial map one, here, one more up. Another one, there we go. Okay, I know it's a little small, but where this line takes a turn,
She made.
No, she did that. She did that.
I should know this by now.
They'll be afraid of courts from now on.
I think so. This line used to come straight up and take a straight line through. This property right in here is the Stonegate property. And when they were approaching, and Matt and Corey were involved with this during time, so they can correct me if I'm wrong on anything, but the landowners were pleased with the alignment of this. It had effect to their land plan. So it comes around and kind of follows the property boundary. It does cut across their property, but this was in an area where it would work for them. Better than running a bisect right across a big part of their property.
Yeah, but I mean, my concerns are that if there are drastic changes, that route might not be what they want anymore. So I don't know if you're in communication with them.
Have you guys had any conversations with the Stonegate group? They do have a zone change and I think they're going back to more industrial.
Yeah, Matt Gendrich for the record. So we did obtain an easement from Stonegate, so they're fully aware of where the location of our line is.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Any public comments or questions regarding this presentation, please?
Yes, Gary Overholt for the record. What's highest elevation?
The height of the pole?
No, not poles, elevation of the line.
As far,
At what elevation? My understanding, it's metal structures, thank you. And it runs on the west side of Peavine. Is that correct?
yes.
So it's going through Forest Service and Peavine's a pretty good sized hill to get across. So I'm just wondering, at what point do you climb over Peavine? There's got to be an elevation change. You're not running, you're not running down the North Valleys here. So you've got to go over the hill somewhere. So you're going to get some elevation change. So you're going from Border Town sub to the California sub. But in between there, you got a hill.
5,000, near.
So you could actually experience some ridges where you could get the wind. I mean, granted, it's a transmission line, so it's pretty durable, so I was just curious. If we don't have an answer, I'll just have to live with it. So.
I wish I thought about putting in the plan and profiles, but they're so exaggerated. They make things look.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we do have plan and profiles for the whole line that are part of the project that the NV Energy engineering teams put together. Yeah, as far as what elevation we actually hit, I wouldn't know what level. I can tell you how tall is Poland.
I can address that one.
Yeah.
Take for the record, it's about 6,500 feet,
Pardon me,
about 6,500 feet.
6,500?
Yeah. it's
So,
about-
and that is the west side, so
That's
it's,
the
all
west side.
right, so. Any, I guess I'd have to look at a topo or something, see where the valleys and where the strong winds would be, liable to occur along this pathway. So, I'm looking at it because of some of the recent fires we've had, not necessarily in Reno and definitely not NV Energy, but there have been fires that have been caused by transmission lines. And, you get into a structure that gets hit and the line starts swaying and cross phasing, which they shouldn't on a single pole, but like I say, when they start sagging in the summertime, they can get, luckily with the planning department and everything, they shouldn't be able to cross phase.
Yeah, there's a lot of regulation that they have going through in terms of the design of these. Can you avoid everything? No. But the federal level regulations that they have that not only NV Energy has to live under, but all power companies providing public power throughout the United States have to live under. I mentioned earlier that as temperatures get hotter, the lines sag, you're gonna get more sway to the lines at that point. So that all gets put into the design. I've worked with people like Corey and people like Laura through a lot of my years, and in it, generally speaking, that's something that is strongly considered. They want to make sure that whatever they're providing out here is safe.
Chair,
Yes, please.
final comment, Kathleen Egan.
Yes.
And I know we need to move along the agenda. I wasn't gonna make the meeting longer, but, for years I worked with Boy Scouts and we have national leases for our camps. And I cannot tell you the amount of regulation that this company and the contractors and NV Energy had to go through, the hoops that you have to go through, that the safest for the routes that was finally chosen. We're talking the minuscule of details were looked at and reviewed. So that's why I know from personal what we had to deal with, that when you say that you pick the safest, the best route, what you had to go through for the last 15 years, it was looked upon. So
It's a very lengthy process. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Awesome.
thank you.
Any other public comment this?
Corey Bond for the record. Dave, thank you very much. And gentlemen, thank you for the presentation. I have been asking, I actually heard about this and I thought it was already done. So I was asking for an invitation to be extended to NV Energy to come out and explain it because I was curious about it. So all my questions were answered. I didn't get to speak. But anyway, all my questions were answered. So I do you gentlemen making the time and accepting our invitation to continue.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Question, Kelly Orr for the record, just for someone who has no idea about the electrical lines and all that hard work that you guys have to do with tying into the Alturas line. How old is that line? And do we have to bring that line up to your current standards? And
Those are going to be completely separate structures that just follow in the same corridor.
Same
Is that
corridor,
correct, Corey? Yeah, it won't be put on the same lines. It'll just run along the same and parallel that.
sure, okay. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time out
Thank you.
here.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll go to item D, Board Commission Committee Member Reports and Announcements. And opportunity to items that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. Any reports? Okay. Moving forward to item E, future agenda items, any agenda items that we'd like to add for future months? Yes, please.
Thank you, Flannery, for the record. There's one thing that was kind of brought to my attention is, developers, they claim that they give us notice. The only thing I've noticed is these big giant yellow signs that say City of Reno that are on big, kind of busy intersections.
Okay.
Is there any way that we could get, like, I even stopped and took a picture because I obviously can't sit
Yeah.
there. And it's still kind of hard to read. So is there any way we can actually get word out to people, put those maybe
Yeah.
in like busier areas where people go, like
Yeah.
7-Elevens or?
So what happens is in a geographical area, if you live within that area of the the area of, I was gonna say, you will get a postcard in the mail. And now that you're on the neighborhood advisory board, you'll be getting postcards for every color coded yellow, pink, blue, green, whatever they might be.
Yeah.
So you get that
Kathleen,
notification
you get
and,
Jared Souther for the record.
yes, of course, thank you.
Thank you.
But in addition, on reno.gov, everyone can sign up for emails for planning updates, planning commission, city council, and what happens to the NAB as well. So we want more people to know about it.
I was just thinking if there was like a sign, like where people actually congregate, you know, they go to the Spring Mart or they go to the Dollar.
Pin one
Or
up,
you could-
you
you know
can
what I
take
mean?
yours and pin it
Yeah.
up.
Well, should I just take it off the corner and put it over there?
No, you can't do that.
Yeah, I figure I'll go to jail for that one.
All right, very good. Great suggestion, great feedback. Anyone else for future agenda items?
Mr. Chair, it doesn't fall into future agenda items, but I forgot to put out that the RTC is having a military road capacity and safety project public meeting next Thursday at the North Valleys Community Center from 5 to 7. So I encourage everybody, I know it's a hot topic in this area, so that is available for participation next Thursday. Yes.
Thank you.
North Valleys Community Center. And then I also wanted to go over the artwork briefly that is in your package and show everybody, just because I kind of went through them quickly. So as you know, and as our was brought to the board a couple of months ago regarding Sky Vista, there's been a lot of changes to the roundabout, and there are banner pole installations. So Councilmember Ebert is sponsoring artwork for those banners, and these are the final additions of what will be printed. So I just wanted to make sure everybody saw, and then hopefully these will get printed and installed in the next coming months.
So these are the final.
Yeah, these are the final selections.
Yes.
At least you don't have a zebra.
Yeah, the zebra out. Yeah, it was cool though.
It was cool, but yeah. Not really.
Zebra everywhere.
So
Open canvas.
Thank you very much.
keep an eye out for all that artwork.
Thank you so much. It's gonna be amazing.
All right, very good.
Oh, and that's what, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I was
No,
like, they don't go
thank you for
under
sharing
future
that.
agenda items, but.
And now we are at that opportunity to receive further public comment. Would you like to do an introductory comment, Ms. Abigail, about public comment?
No, I think we're good. You will have 3 minutes. I have received public comment from Ms. Kelly Orr. So let me get you situated. And as soon as you state your name and begin to speak, your time will start.
Kelly Orr, for the record, I just wanted to come tonight and introduce myself. I also sit on can't find my words, the Community Advisory, Citizens Advisory Board for our district. But I also am the community director. I've met you, sir. You've been out to the property. I'm the community director of Copper Mesa, and that is the affordable apartment complex on Red Rock Road that everybody is so excited about. So I just wanted to kind of take a moment and just give you guys a picture of what we are at our property and encourage you to come out anytime and come take a look. We have 290 doors. We have 9 buildings. 8 of those buildings have 35 apartments in them, ranging from 1 bedroom all the way up to 4 bedroom. We have washer and dryers, brand new electric, energy efficient in the unit. We have full dishwasher, microwave, electric oven, and microwave, all the amenities in the apartment. The base model, the 1 bedroom, 1 bath, that is 801 square feet. It has a beautiful laundry room in it that makes Harry Potter jealous, if you have any reference to his closet space. I do have brochures for you at the back. Our 4 bedrooms are $1,618. Our 1 bedrooms are $1,067. The 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms obviously range. We do have income guidelines because we are a tax credit property. We're 60%. So what that means is we cannot exceed certain rents. And April 1st, we just went up 2.2%. That's why our rates did go up. But also we deal with Section 8. We deal with all kinds of, Social Security, strict incomes and stuff like that. So each household member has to qualify. but also can't exceed an income too. So that's where we do find struggle in our neighborhoods, because everybody does work at a warehouse or somewhere that, you know, they're making really good money, a livable wage, and unfortunately, sometimes they're over income. So, you know, if it's a single person household where there's four people in the house and only one person working, their income's gonna qualify them. But I do have that information at my property. You can also check us out online. We have a movie theater.
Oh.
We have an exercise room. We have a bike storage area. Also, I'm gonna use that bike storage area. It's indoor, key fobbed. That's gonna be for modality devices if you live on the second floor. I do have a carport, so I do have garages. I have a business center. We have a heated pool. We have playground area, basketball area,
Oh my God.
and gazebo barbecue area. Yeah, I tell people as a homeowner, I'm always in a relationship with Home Depot or Ace Hardware.
Mhm.
But, so what we'd like to offer our community is an opportunity to enjoy our peaceful neighborhood. It's quiet, it's beautiful out there, and to give people like our veterans and people with like some struggling incomes an opportunity to live in our beautiful area. I will say my commute to work of 7 minutes is really rough. I'm super sad
Jealous?
about that. Yeah. So it's a beautiful apartment complex. I know there is a lot of, you know, yeses and pros and cons and, oh, we're having an affordable property in our area, but I'm excited. So I encourage you all to come out. We are going to have resident events. We are looking to host a variety of food trucks and the mobile library and stuff like that for our residents, and just get them used to our services and what we provide to the community. So thank you for your time. Yes, absolutely.
So since you have, well, how many stories is it like for? Oh, Becky
Four.
Flannery for the
It's
record,
late
sorry.
day every day.
So do you
Four
have
floor.
like elevators for
No,
the
ma'am.
disabled, or they just pretty much get the bottom?
The city changed the zoning ordinance where you didn't have to they didn't mandate where you had to have elevators. So,
Okay.
builders took advantage of that and have built units going up. What is nice about, you're on the first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor with your floor plan, it's that all the way up. So you have a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 1 bedroom, 1 bath all the way up. 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 4 bedroom, 2 bath all the way up.
Oh, wow. So you do, sorry, Becky Flannery again. So do you just pretty much like guarantee, like if they're disabled, obviously they're not going to the second or third floor. Do you have like?
Them and their disability.
Okay.
We do have ADA units and
Perfect.
we do have lower 50% units, that they're PPVs is what we call them, that the city and Reno Housing Authority that we're working with to house, people in those units.
Nice.
So,
Thank you.
Just a question, Chair Souther for the record. Are you now at 100% open, or is there still units still being prepared for final
we
construction
are
phase?
still under construction. We have 4 buildings active. We have we're gonna have 82 residents by the end of the weekend. We have another 20 approved applications, and then we try to keep an average of 40 applications in 2 weeks, so 20 a week. Is what our goal is. We are looking to have the project completed by September. They say August, but
Yeah, and then just a follow-up question is that the community quite a bit could rely on RTC Flex Ride. How is that being received and how's that working?
wonderful.
Great.
I also sit on RTC multimodality board, so we are a part of those meetings, and they are looking at making some expansions in the future.
Just, Councilmember Ebert, for the record, I also wanted to add on that I'm trying to work with RTC to get more flex ride services out here. So just so you guys know, I wasn't aware of all these things, but I'm also trying to get more flex ride services out here.
Yeah, and I do have a welcome packet that I get my residents ready, and I let them know about Flex Ride. I let them know about our services that we have at the O'Brien location. I let them know about food pantries in our area and resources, because some people are moving from out of state, as far as Florida. And so a lot of people are moving, selling their home or going through a situation where it changes. So we have a brand new build just waiting. I always say the washer and dryer is waiting for you. That's how excited I would be. So everything's energy efficient. There's no gas on the property. It's all electric.
Jared Souther for the record. One question that I might not have had a chance to ask you when I visited is, based on that 82 units, how many children have now been added to the Silver Lake Elementary School? Approximately, would you say?
Probably not enough.
Yep. Okay,
Yeah, Cold Springs too, they're really struggling for students right now. If you didn't know, the second grade, their numbers are really low, so they're looking at probably cutting staff if we don't get those numbers met. So we're trying. And a lot of people do have for their school of choice now.
Mhm.
So even though they are a resident here, they can still keep their children in their school of choice.
thank you.
Yeah.
Any other further comment from the public? Yeah, Corey.
Corey Bond, explain to me, because I heard you said it, and are there elevators or not?
No, sir.
No.
No, I just say like, just jokingly, it's the stairs, it's 17 stairs up to the second floor. That is one stair, it's very calm. They egress them, I think beautifully for someone who's played violent physical sports most of their life. Where this body has had some days, so going up the stairs is a little challenge, and then it breaks, and then there's 4 stairs, a bridge, and then 4 stairs to the 3rd floor. And then it does the same thing to the 4th floor.
Okay, thank you.
And they, one thing I didn't include, and I apologize.
Go ahead.
So it's a gated community, but how we change the footprint of that gated community is we gated the front entrance of each building. So say, for example, you have building J, there's an entrance here and an entrance here. That's gated at the entrance, front and back. So if I lived on this side, my key fob is only gonna work for this side. It will not work for the rest of the property. If it's gated on this side, same thing.
That's really nice.
So we are gonna have hub lockers also. So we do tell residents like Amazon, big furniture deliveries, please have those somewhere else. We won't be accepting them at the office, but residents can go pick them up at hub locker locations. For now, also we don't go by buildings. The fire department and the post office box prefer the address, so 205 Silver Lake Road with unit, so 104. No B, no J, no I. And then we do have carriage house units. So we have 88 garages. Those carriage house units are 2-bedroom, 2-bath on top of the garages. There's 13 of those that include the 290. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. If you guys have further questions, this is public comment, please feel free to get with Kelly afterwards. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Anyone else that'd like to offer a public comment tonight? As we close this meeting?
Remember the presentation? I did too.
All right, thank you. Please.
Gary Overholt for the record. I just, I've been missing the NAB meetings for about 6 months. But I do want to thank all the NAB members for your diligence and being here, and especially council member Megan because of her dedication to Gord Ford. And I just appreciate all your guys' efforts. Certainly do.
Well, we're happy to see you, Gary.
Yeah,
Awesome.
me too. Been a while.
All right, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion
Wait.
to adjourn. Or no, not
One
yet.
last public comment.
Please.
Councilmember Eva Clark, I just want to say, welcome. Thank
Thank
you. You made it through your first meeting, so.
Hope I did okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Megan.
Thank you.
All right, with that, motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Kathleen Egan, motion to adjourn.
John White, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, look forward to next month's meeting.
Better not run for the door, Beck.